Everyone, Steve Westman here. Welcome to another edition of the Audiophiles. I have a fun one today. Michael 45 Audiophile is joining me today. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk audiophile pressings. We're just going to have a talk about music and the love of music. It's a fun one. Stay tuned for that. Click on my channel, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out a ton. If you want gear, we have it here, 433 Carroll, downtown Vancouver. Now let's get to my chat with Michael 45. We'll see you on the other side of the audiophile. Welcome to the Audiophiles. Steve Westman here. I've got a special guest, Michael 45 Audiophile, coming to you live from Germany. How are you today, sir?
I'm so far I'm fine. The weather is quite warm, quite hot, but beautiful. Yeah. A little too warm, too dry. Climate change.
So it's Guten Abend to you and Guten Tag to me here in Vancouver. So there you go.
Exactly.
I learned a little bit of German just before we got on. And I was mentioning before, here in Canada, we had to know a lot of French. So I decided to play instruments and learn music instead of my French lessons. So maybe that's what reason why I have this channel now, because I would have been doing stuff in French. I don't know.
Play French music, so they have it both.
So thank you so much. I know you and I have been going back and forth probably around that whole DSD gate, going back and forth, chatting back and forth, getting to know each other. And we finally able to put this time together, probably for the next hour or so, to talk about, I don't know, the love of our passion, our hobby, audiophile, music, vinyl, the industry. You do a lot of shootouts. I do shootouts on my channel. We can talk about sort of how we compare them, what we're looking for in sound, all that fun stuff. And I also wanted to end, I wanted to learn more too, because I know you have this original buyers club as well. So maybe we can talk about that near the end. And I want to learn more about that, because I think really too, we're hearing a lot more of more original pressing chatter than ever before. And I think it has a lot to do with maybe prices of some of the albums out there now, or maybe, the originals are now, for whatever reason, sounding just as good as the represses. So no, it'll be a fun hour. Wanted to thank you for that. We can start off. I love talking about Mofi. We're both big fans of Mofi. I've got a lot of Mofi records. I know you do as well. Are you interested in the titles that are coming out, like the Van Halens and the Joni Mitchells? Like, what's your thought on all that?
I'm totally not interested in them, because for me, after what we have found out roughly a year ago, Mofi is the embodiment of all that can go wrong with audiophile music and audiophile business. And what I've learned that was quite interesting is that there is really a different take on this whole Mofi thing here in Germany, or Europe, and in America.
Tell us the differences.
In a nutshell, my experience, my personal experience, when I talk to people, when I talk to record dealers, the American take is, in a nutshell, come on, Michael, they sound as good as before. In Europe, in Germany, they say, they lied to us for over 10 years. Are they insane? And in Germany, you can't sell Mofis anymore.
Okay.
No, they are in the shop and they stay in the shop. No, when I say no, of course there will be one. Don't get me wrong when I say no one will, but this small. Of course, I have a lot of them, and I won't sell them. I just keep them. But maybe this is one of the central words, one of the keywords in our stream tonight. The excitement is totally gone from me. Totally.
So do you think the excitement in all audiophile pressings, or just specifically Mofi?
Mofi. Yeah. Mofi, because they played us.
And that's, looking at the titles now, I know Hotel California is one that's supposed to come out one step. I don't know if they're pressing 10,000. I don't care about the numbers, but I don't even know if I'm going to even order that at this point. I mean, I've got a couple great pressings myself, one cut by Grunman years ago. I mean, what do I need? What do I need to spend that for? And we're both international, right? So,
that's the next thing. Interesting point. Let's give that part, that emotional, that excitement part away, in this sense, a negative excitement. Yeah. If you see at the title, another digital version of Joni Mitchell Blue. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Let's do an announcement video and a special video. Hey, come on.
So you're going to do that after this video? Do it of Joni Mitchell Blue?
Immediately. So
well, she's a fellow Canadian. I got to give her due. But I mean, I've got the Joni Mitchell Blue.
I have nothing. Quite the opposite. I love Joni Mitchell. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't need another digital version. I don't care in which format, in which vinyl. No.
Yeah. And they just recently came out, I think it was the Reprise Records box of the Joni Mitchell, the early recordings or something, which is a great box. I think you might even have that one, or you might have done a talk on that one, but yeah, that's a great box. Yeah. So no Mofi for you. I mean, I know there's Mofi sitting on some of my local record store shelves, collecting a lot of dust. They haven't moved for a long time. So
has that something to do with it, or is it?
I'm not sure. In Vancouver, I don't think the audiophile market's as large as maybe other areas, because I mean, this local record shop is just down. I've done some videos there before, and I mean, he has Analogue Production stuff on his shelf, and of course Mofi, and nothing's moving.
Okay,
so
that's different in Germany.
Well, and then getting back to this international thing, I mean, as a Canadian, when the smoke clears for me after exchange for one step, it's $250. So for one album, it's like, whoa, like it's a little expensive after a while. So in the height of the pandemic, I will admit I bought a couple, would buy 2 per household, and I had extras, and I went and sold a few of them on my Mofi buy and sell there on Facebook, just because I wanted to, free up some shelf space. Really, that's really what I wanted to do, because it was getting a little bit ugly. So, I mean, I'm not going to listen to another Stevie Ray Vaughan or Paul Simon albums. So, I mean, might as well sell them and use the money elsewhere as well.
Yeah, sure.
So now, other audiophile news. I mean, this is fun and exciting. Well, not audiophile news, but news. I mean, the Beatles are out in the news again. Did you read about that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, here we go.
So, no, I didn't. I really am occupied right now.
Oh my gosh, I thought you would have. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is really cool.
What did I miss?
You missed this, and I knew there was going to be an announcement, because I talked to my friends at Abbey Roads, but they're not going to tell me anything. But the announcement is there's a song called Now and Then that the Beatles tried to record during the '95 anthology, but it was a cassette of John's voice and some instruments that Yoko gave Paul. It said for Paul on the cassette or something, is the way the story goes. The song's called Now and Then. Apparently, they used AI technology from Peter Jackson's company, and this new Now and Then song is going to be released, AI version, with John and the boys on it. However they're doing it, I don't know. So that's the big news today.
Brave new world. Huh?
So I find that interesting. This whole AI thing is fascinating, because we're going to have movie stars such as Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks, who are dead in 50 years. They're still going to be starring in movies. So their heirs are going to be making all this money through the AI. I mean, it's going to happen. We're going to see Tom Cruise in 50 years in Mission Impossible 100. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're going to have
easily done.
And we're going to have the Beatles. I think we're going to have the Beatles again. We'll probably have Paul McCartney AI'd out for the next 100 years. Abbey Road can take advantage of that market as well. I mean, why not?
Why not? Let's see if we are into this. So finally, a new Beatles album, an AI version. Okay.
An AI Beatles version. So yeah, I mean,
mastered by ChatGPT.
Yes, the album Yesterday and Today by the Beatles. I mean, really, this is Yesterday and Today now. I mean, this is really defies really makes that album. But so that was one big news.
This is of course exciting. In a way, it's exciting, and it's in a way the way of the time. ABBA with their avatars and their show in London. Now the Beatles. Yeah, we will see Elvis again for sure.
Well, Elvis is still alive.
Sorry, I forgot that. Damn it! Come on. You're right.
I think he's living in Germany somewhere, apparently, or Canada.
My lips are sealed.
No, I think the AI will be interesting. We hear about it a lot in the news about, if you've seen the movie Terminator, everyone's worried that, we're going to be AI to the Terminator extent where there's going to be a bunch of Arnold Schwarzeneggers running around killing people, but I don't know. There's not enough. There's not enough Sarah Connors in the world to worry about that. I think we're okay. So what have you been busy doing? What have you been listening to lately? Anything exciting that we can share? What's been on your turntable as of late?
The most exciting listening experience in the last couple of days, which has nothing to do with originals, have been the new Deutsche Grammophon series.
I saw that video.
You saw it? Yeah. I was quite surprised. I didn't expect that much, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But that sometimes it's beautiful and exciting in life. Yep. And then you get it and you say, wow. I open it, beautiful jacket. When it starts like this, you start with an amazing, beautifully crafted jacket. It's a good start, right? I love mm-hmm. that. But the slims, not well saturated print, beautiful, fantastic jackets, really surprisingly good. Yeah, and they kept it up. They made a brilliant mastering. They sound amazing also compared to the originals, which is, of course, a little problem on first sight, because I ordered the 4 editions they put out, and I spent, I think, around 260 euros for those 4 editions. Mm. And I got the 4 originals in absolute mint condition, because those classical collectors, they look
well. They don't play them. They don't play them very often. I have a bunch of classical, or they don't play them.
They were like new. Amazing. And I paid $60 for all of them. So difficult, right? Yeah. But they sound, and which is quite rare when you compare an original to an reissue. The reissue sounds way better, way better.
And who was the mastering engineer in those ones? Do you remember?
Sydney, yeah, I do, because she was guest on my channel. Sydney Claire Mayer.
There you go.
On the Emil Berliner studios. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Young woman who made an, is that the correct term? Apprenticeship?
I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. With Kevin Gray.
Kevin speaks very highly of her. That's why I wanted to mention her name on this chat right now. And I know Kevin texted me this morning because he had seen your video of that. He was really happy to hear the nice reviews that she got with that recording. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah. Well, no, that's really good. So yeah, nice to see.
Classical a little bit?
Well, I mean, growing up, I had to do classical for school. Mentioning the whole music thing, not really that much. I mean, life gets in the way of our hobbies, right? I mean, for me, working full time, I've got a young family, and traveling back and forth for work, so it's difficult for me at times. I try now and then, but not a huge fan of that. I mean, not really. I mean, it's probably an area or genre I should really tackle more than I do.
Yeah, you can listen to everything, right? It's just, we don't have enough time.
Well, I was fortunate. I mean, where I got my start, I mean, I have a huge original Canadian record collection that my dad was collecting over the years. I mean, in Vancouver, I got a decent sized place to live, but I don't have room for all of my records. So I got bins and bins in my garage. So I just go in there and sort of find the ones that I want, and it's that's all I can do. I mean, so the Canadian records, I mean, they were decent in their day. A lot of them sound pretty great. I think they're like 120 gram stuff. Vinyl, nothing fancy, but I enjoy my Canadian pressings. I got a lot of nice originals. Just like I search some. There's probably some nice German originals too that you own that you probably really cherish as well.
Yeah, and that again was a very, didn't do the video about it yet, but I now am able to compare to quite some important records, the German first pressing, the British first pressing, or you have UK, European or Netherlands. This is really, really, really interesting, because when you do that quite often, you suddenly realize that every country has a certain specific touch. For example, a UK pressing, usually, of course, you always have the exception of the rule, always. But in general, they have a very brilliant, beautiful heights. The frequency are great. The Germans are better in the mid-range, generally.
Yeah.
This is so interesting because you can't have it both.
So maybe
it's interesting, very interesting.
Well, maybe a real cultural thing, depending on the way music, maybe you were brought up listening to music, possibly. Is that maybe part of it? I don't know.
That might for sure be a part of it, because the people who does them are from the country, and that's what they think is the best way of doing them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are decisions. Those are decisions. Let's go for the heights, or let's go for the mid-range. Those are decisions they do.
Well,
this is not by accident.
Right. I mean, we're also seeing that a lot too on some of the new reissued and remastered that these mastering engineers do, the Grunmans and the Kevin Grays. I mean, there's a lot more bottom end than ever before in a lot of these albums. And I think, and I mentioned this in one of my streams as well, they're not filtering the bottom end any longer, these mastering engineers, because the equipment we have today is much better, right? So you're able to really hear what the master tape really sounded like at the time. And I know that we can get to the Rhino High-Fi records, like the cars that just came out, got a lot of great review. Michael Fremer did a review. I mean, I've talked about it a lot as well. It sounds great. Yeah, there's a lot more bass in the original. And I mean, I think a lot of people were asking that. So I went and asked Kevin. He said, well, I didn't filter the bass out. And I think what you're hearing from the original is that there's a little bit more filter on the bass, because they didn't want the records to skip, or the companies didn't want the records to skip back then, like the same problem they had with the Led Zeppelin 2's RL cut, right? Yeah, back in 60.
And
yeah.
the daughter, yeah, of course.
I'm assuming you have a copy of that somewhere in your collection, right?
Oh, I didn't find a clean copy yet.
Yeah, I've had one for a number of years now that I was able to grab. I think I got it for about $75 Canadian way back when, and it sounds really good. Other than the very last track of side 2, there's a little scratch, so there's a little bit of you can hear that click 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 at the very end. But but otherwise, I mean, it sounds good. Obviously, the bass is great. There's hardly any dead wax either, because there's so much bass grooves in that thing that Robert Ludwig did. So it's really it's a nice pressing to have. I really enjoy listening to it once in a while. And I also have the Mofi Led Zeppelin 2. It's okay. but I don't mind a lot of the older Mofi stuff. And I've mentioned this before, like I've got a lot of the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon from 70, whatever, it's 78, and Steve Miller. I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
You don't mind it. Okay.
I don't mind it.
That's a different.
I do like. Okay. I do, and I don't have an original, so I can't compare it. But I do really like. I think it was the 30th anniversary that came out. The EMI did the 30th, and I believe that's Kevin Gray as well. I like that one.
And a lot of people say that this one is amazing too. And the 30s, yeah, I don't have that. Yeah, I'm very happy to have this light blue triangle. Yeah, which this is a thunderstorm. This is really something special. This is, sometimes you say maybe it's overhyped, and well, how can it be so special? But then you put it on, and then And
then yeah. I always felt that, because for years I had the Mofi Dark Side of the Moon, so I'd put that down as a younger guy. I'm like, wow, this sounds so good. But then, getting to listen to the 30th anniversary, I'm like, yeah, this is something special as well. And I've never been fortunate enough to have the Blue Triangle UK pressing, but maybe one day I'll have a look around. But it's it's expensive. You never know. We'll see. I got lots on my wish list, so that's okay. But that's the thing about represses these days, and let's talk about sort of the Rhino reissues. What are you thinking about Rhino getting into this game? What's your thoughts?
My thoughts. Okay, I didn't buy them.
Okay.
Because how shall I put it? Another series. We have quite some series, right? And when they do nowadays a series, I want the whole package. And I'm not one who says, I don't care for the jacket. I just want the music. No, I want the whole package. If they go into it, remastered by Kevin Gray, great thing. But come on, give us something beautiful. When I get it out of the box, I want to open a bottle of wine, want to sit down and celebrate this. But if I have this, okay, yeah, so that's a bad start for me. And yet another series. But then I heard all this positive reviews. I got so many comments on my videos. Michael, why don't you do a video about the cars?
Yeah.
And then I ordered them now, and I will get into it. But yeah, another series.
And they're limiting it to like 5,000. So I mean, it's not like it's going to be overpressed as well. I mean, and that's what we're seeing. That's what I'm not understanding now going forward. Mofi is pressing all these, tens of thousands of copies. They're going to be stuck with these for a while.
Are you sure? Are you
well,
sure?
I mean, for the one steps, I think it's I think that it's going to be a lot, isn't it? I'd have to go back and look at their website.
I think they lowered the number, but
did they? Yeah. Would make sense.
I can be wrong.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not on Google right now or searching their website, but I know for, let's say, for instance, I would assume for Hotel California, the Eagles, I mean, that was a lot higher.
Probably. This is, of course, I mean, you can't get bigger, at least in the United States. You can't get bigger than Hotel California, right?
No. So I mean, that's that'll be interesting. And we've got, of course, Analogue Productions got their Steely Dan catalog coming out. The next one is it Pretzel Logic next?
Pretzel Logic, I think, end of or mid-July. I think I have to look it up.
I can't remember either. So Pretzel Logic, and then after that is Asia the September.
Yeah, that's quite interesting and a good move in my opinion that they dragged Asia before the other titles. I think the initial idea was to put them in the way they
chronological order.
Chronological, thank you, exactly. But now they skipped that, and I think they do the Asia and then the Gaucho, and I think that's a good thing to do because everybody, of course, is waiting for.
Well, I mean, I've pre-ordered Asia, of course, and I've got Tom Port's Better Records version that he sent me after he was on my show. I've got the Mofi version. I have another Grunman original cut that that sounds great. And am I missing one? There's another one too. Probably
you have quite some Asias.
I think I've got a 2014 pressing from the Back in Black series, I think. And I have a Canadian Asia with the red vinyl that came out in 78, 79 as well.
So Asia is your favorite record?
No, it's not actually, from Steely Dan, if you can believe it. It's Can't Buy a Thrill.
I love it too. Yeah.
And you know why I like Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill? I love the fact that there's more than one singer on some of these songs. So it's not just Fagan. So I really like the fact that there's other guys singing. I don't know, it's just me, because I mean, getting back to being a big Beatles fan, I love the fact it wasn't just Paul, it wasn't just George, it wasn't just John. It's cool that everyone got involved. And that's why I really liked about the Can't Buy a Thrill album a lot. And my least favorite Steely Dan is Countdown to Ecstasy. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, so as I said, next one is Pretzel Logic, but quality, and I could compare those to the promo copies. They did an amazing job on them.
Yeah.
Amazing. You have listened to the UHQRs?
Of Can't Buy a Thrill, of course. I mean, I own those ones, the 45 cut. I mean, you can't beat them. I also have the Speaker's Corner version of Can't Buy a Thrill as well. And I have an original Canadian copy, and I will tell you, and I don't think it gets enough credit, but Speaker's Corner, it's in Germany, as viewers don't know, they come out with some really great stuff, and I mean the price point is amazing as well. And that doesn't they don't get enough press. I really don't.
They did some amazing releases, editions. I totally like, of course, the Lou Reed Transformer. I do like their Patti Smith version. The Raikuda they did was great, but sometimes not so cool. They are a bit hit and miss, but when they are a hit, they are really, really.
Well, I have what is it? The Van Morrison with Brown Eyed Girl. Was that Blowing in the Wind? Is that the one? I love the sound of that album on Speaker's Corner. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, it sounds fantastic. I'm a big Van Morrison fan too. So, I mean, but I grew up listening to Van Morrison on CD. So getting that one on vinyl, yeah. So
always room for improvement. Right?
Oh yeah. So I enjoyed that one. And it was funny too, because if you remember a while back, I had a Joe Cocker original with a little help from my friend, which was his original, I guess his debut album back in 69 or 7. Anyways. And it was a Canadian copy, and it sounded like crap. I mean, it was all muddy and just. So I'm like, I mentioned this in the stream, and then I found a speaker. Or one of my viewers said, "Hey, I got a speaker's corner. You want to buy it from?" I'm like, yeah, sure. It was $50 Canadian. I got it within 3 days because he lives in Vancouver. It was night and day. I mean, that to me is my best sounding speaker's corner, other than the Can't Buy a Thrill.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I don't have both speakers corner versions. Not both. I don't have.
Yeah, I think you have the Ellen. Don't you know have the Ellen Parsons Eye in the Sky
I have
speakers?
Some of the Alan Parsons. Yes.
Yeah, and that was funny too, because
but then again, the Alan Parsons is a beautiful example. I have the speaker's corner. I have the Mofi, and the Mofi beat the hell out of the speaker's corner. And then I got them good, pristine, mint UK original.
Yeah.
And this one, I think I paid 12 euros, by the way.
Hilarious. That's amazing.
And this one destroyed the Mofi. I honestly, I wouldn't have thought that possible, because I thought, damn it, this Mofi sounds great. But then you put on the original, I said, this cut, what is this? This is unbelievable. And that was quite interesting when I figured that out. Yeah. That was, this is exactly the time where I again changed my my collecting habits. That was around this video. I said, okay, here is something I have to dig into. Here's something I have to go for. And the Mofi thing, and that encouraged me getting more and more and more into looking out for originals and see which reissues makes sense and which doesn't, because there are reissues that make sense, meaning they are, if you have a certain direction and like certain things better than the original. But very, very, very often it's the original who beats the reissue.
Well, case in point, the case in point would be the UK version of Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, the one that you own, the Blue Triangle. It's probably, I mean, I've never heard it, but it's probably the best sounding album you can find of Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, you have those kind of originals. They have, of course, certain aspects. They have also the aspect of the collectibility, right?
That's true.
So it is an aspect. I mean, this is the very, very, very first pressing of one, let's agree on one of the most important records. It's always, of course, taste. There are probably people who say, no, I don't like that album. That's fine, but it's an important album.
Absolutely.
I think we are talking, I think, 1,526 different pressings. So.
Oh, at least that. I mean, it's funny if you go in Discogs sometimes, see the different versions of these albums. I mean, it's like it blows I probably even more than that at this point. I mean, in terms of the versions or pressings of this album, which means how many times?
The 50th version, so 1,527.
Oh, just that. Yeah. Oh.
When I looked, it was before the 50s. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, just think about how many times these tapes, the original tapes, have been used as we move forward here. So, I mean, that has.
No. I think that is with CDs and audio cassettes. So, but this would be an interesting question. How often? I don't know.
Well, does that make it? That might make a difference in terms of sound as well, because when these first came out, the tapes are fresh. Exactly. And they're cutting these lacquers, and depending how many they're using. I mean, I know from my last show, it's about what you get from the lacquer. You get about 10 mothers, and from that you can get 10 stampers, I believe. So that's what's that, 100,000 pressed right there before you have to go back to it again. I think they probably use more than that on some of that metal and wore it out, because that's what they did back then, because they didn't really care as much as just blasting it out.
Also, when it comes to this very first, this early things. Maybe also the artist's involvement has been closer even to the production of the records, right, in that time. Maybe they also took more care, the artists itself, and looked into it. You know, there are artists that are well known for it, that they were very close. Even they stood even in the record factories. Can you know Can? Krautrock from Cologne. No, they were there. I said, yeah, let's have a look. Helps too, probably, right?
Well, I mean, that goes back, another argument, the whole mono versus stereo, right? Especially in the 60s, where AM radio was sort of, you know, really the big thing. So everything was mixed in mono. Like, look at the Beatles' early recordings, mixed in mono. And then George Martin or Jeff Emmerich, whoever was in charge of the stereo mixes, spent 8 hours, maybe 10 hours mixing it to stereo. So it really didn't, and then that's why he's getting these Giles Martin remix of the Beatles, right? Because I mean, they're getting remixed to today's standards, to the way that sounds today, trying to find another market with younger people, and having to make a, you know, sound a certain way. I've heard a few people say, oh, it's the new reimagined Beatles albums. I like that, not the remixes, but the reimagined, because things are, you know, sound a little bit different than even I mean, you know, I'm 50 years old, so I mean, I started listening to the Beatles at a very young age, but they were already broken up before I was even born, right? So I mean, but I have a certain memory of how they sound as well, which is of course different than some of these remixes today.
Yeah, and yeah, the difference between the originals and the remaster remixes,
reimagine.
Reimagine. Yeah. It of course gives a certain kick to it, that it's different, right?
And it's a money game, and we both know, you know, they're going to come out, they're going to remix all the Beatles catalogs. I think there's what, 6, you know, Please Please Me, you know, the 6 from Please Please Me makes it, I think, gets us to Help. So I can't imagine that we won't see from Please Please Me to the Help album being remixed or reimagined by a Giles shortly within the next year. Why wouldn't they? I mean, there's a market for it. Take advantage of it. If you're a shareholder, if you're Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr, or you know, or Yoko Ono or Olivia Harrison, you're going to jump on this. This is the time to make some serious cash. So why wouldn't you?
Of course, and you can see now it's the Beatles. If you look, I don't know how it is in Canada or the United States, but look at Elvis Presley. His fans are not in the game anymore, in a way.
That's right.
And look what happens to his record collection value. 10 years ago, 200 Deutschmark records is now 10 euros.
And I've never touched upon this, and this is fascinating. And then think about this, right? I mean, you know, in 10 years, where will our record collection values be? As you know, because I think we really see changes in sort of economics, we see changes in businesses, we see changes in politics, we see changes in demographic. Where is this all going to go in 10 years? Is my record collection going to be worth anything? People going to be listening to the Beatles in 10 years as much as they do now, as the baby boomers get to a point where maybe they're not even alive, right? To in 10 years or even 20 years out. So it'll be curious.
I'm sure that the Beatles are special.
Yes.
And I say that as not such a big Beatles fan, but the Beatles have a very special place. So it might be different with them. But see, Beach Boys, Elvis Presley, they are just not so hip anymore. Might be different in 10, 15, 20 years, who knows?
Could
also, you know, this Elvis movie really helped.
I really enjoyed that Elvis movie. I thought that was really well. Oh, the acting was amazing. First of all, so, I mean, that helps.
And of course, it helped. It helped the whole Elvis hype. Yeah. But I don't know how long this will hold up. But the core fan group gets thinner and thinner, and that's
exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's funny. I have got a bunch of teenage daughters, if you want to know sort of my backstory. And I mean, you know, they're all be into music, play guitar and all that. And so they'd rather listen to Steely Dan than the Beatles.
Yeah.
And you want to know why?
And their children, when they look back, they probably listen to Nirvana.
But they like but one of my daughters, my second oldest daughter, likes Steely Dan. She appreciates the lyrics of the songs. And so one day we actually Googled, we were looking through Can't Buy a Thrill, and we started Googling the meanings of some of the songs. And Fagan, I mean, Walter Becker and Fagan, I mean, they really get into it. If you really dig deep on some of these songs, there's a lot more depth to them than just this pop album that you listen to just for fun.
Sure, exactly.
So I find it...
The whole production process they went through when they did their albums, they were knee deep into it. I think that's fair to say.
And you mentioned that too, about artists getting more involved in the production. I mean, Steely Dan would be a big one, where they're really involved in production from every aspect of post or pre-production all the way to post-production, everything.
Yeah. I think even the flyer they sent out to record stores probably go through their hands and was controlled.
I would say so. So I found that fascinating when my teenage daughter, who listens to a lot of hip hop and Trippie Redd music. Have you heard that? They love Trippie Redd and all that stuff. But she really likes Steely Dan. And she goes, well, what's your favorite band these days? Oh, I still love the Beatles. She goes, oh, that's so basic. I'm like, it's basic.
Good critique. It's basic. Yeah,
it's basic. I thought that was funny. I'm like, it's sort of like, oh, I've listened to the Beatles my whole life. You think it's basic, but it's basic, but it sticks with you. Where, I think she was more really like sort of the progression of the songs and Steely Dan and the meaning of the music. So I thought that was really cool. So that's how is she? She's 18 now. So I mean, that's her interpretation of it too. Yeah. And my 3-year-old, I've got a 3-year-old. She loves Can't Buy a Thrill. She knows every single lyric of every song of that album. And I bought her a Can't Buy a Thrill t-shirt.
Buy her, be generous. Buy a Can't Buy a Thrill UHQR.
We have it already. So she goes to meet Michael the other day. She goes, Daddy, can I have all of your Steely Dan records?
You said yes, right?
I'm like, absolutely. Have them all.
That's great.
It was so cute. That was yesterday afternoon. She asked me that. It was so funny. Oh yeah, it was really cute. So no, that's So I mean,
enjoy the time, Steve. My son is now 33. Yeah, time flies by.
Well, my oldest daughter just turned 19 on Sunday, so I was like, "Wow, that was 19 years ago." That honestly felt like, what happened? What happened?
It doesn't slow down. You will see.
I know. One other thing, I don't know if I haven't talked about this very often, but I had Sid Schwartz on. If you know who Sid is, he used to be with Mobile Fidelity in their marketing department, and he's moved on. But he had recommended when he came on this book. And I bought it off of Amazon. This is Art Pepper, Straight Life, the story of Art Pepper. And Michael and viewers that are watching, pick this book up. I got it on Amazon. It was recorded by Laura Pepper, who was his last wife at the time. And it was really, he didn't really want to do it, but she recorded it and sort of egged him on and sort of asking questions about his life. And this is quite the story of, you can't put this thing down once you start reading this book.
His life was a bit disturbing, right?
This is all in the book, Michael. So it's a real, it's unique. I won't say much more than the fact that it's quite the
song where he apologized to his daughter.
He probably did. I mean, he was in jail 3 to 5 different separate times as well. I mean, this guy led a life. I mean, drugs, alcohol does it to you. That's the thing. And that's interesting about a lot of these jazz guys too, right? You got the Chets and those guys into the heroin, or Bill Evans, I think, was into the heroin as well. These guys really
went for it.
They partied hard.
Some people say it all started with Charlie Parker, I think. Okay. Charlie Parker started it, and he was the big mentor, and they all went for it. And then, like a heritage, is that the correct term? Or that you give it to your next colleague. Terrible.
I think some of these jazz musicians partied harder than Led Zeppelin in their day. Lee Morgan. Lee Morgan, yeah.
With a scar here because he slept at the Radiator. When he was...
I did not know that, really.
That's when he changed his haircut, because he had a scar here after that night.
Oh, these guys. It's too bad. I mean, that's, but getting back to Art Pepper, that's quite the read. If you're an Art Pepper fan, for anyone that's watching, I got it on Amazon as like a $15 book. And it's a sad story. How's that?
For sure.
It's sad.
Great musician.
Great musician. I mean, so talented, so incredibly talented. All these guys are so incredibly talented. Yeah. And it seems like almost every single one of them just, obviously died before their time. Almost, if you name it, they're, most of them were dead before their...
Of course, you always have these exceptions, right? Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Ron Carter is still alive.
Yes. But very rare, right?
Very rare. Very rare.
And that's, I think that's the lifestyle you get into, the people that you meet, everything. It's just,
imagine you hang out with a group of people and everybody's doing it.
You're going to do it. We know it's called, it's peer pressure, right? Peer pressure. That's what it is. They all jumped off the bridge, basically, right? One does it. So tell me about, I know, yes. I want to learn more about your original Buyers Club. You're sort of mentioning that, and I find that really interesting that you had an epiphany or something around the eye in the sky when Mofi released that. Is that would be that fair enough to say?
That's a big word, I think. But now, when this Mofi thing came up, I said, hey, come on, you have a channel, you talk about this, but you have to get deeper into it. I cannot go on like this anymore. Although I have to say, I made quite some Mofi videos where I said, no, this is not so good compared to this one is better. But still, and then I said, okay, the best source of it, the best source is of course the original. And then I went into the original and compared. And I said, oh my God, okay. 9 out of 10 times the original beat it. And then I said, okay, now I have to get hands on originals. How do I do this?
Yeah.
Discogs.
Yeah.
And that was a nightmare.
Obviously.
Steve, I ordered 128 records.
Okay.
83, if I remember correctly. Totally wrong graded, wrong copies, not the original of a country of original. I get a German one instead of a UK, and nightmare. And said, what is this? And then I met a private dealer, and I learned what that means, and I learned what real experience is and knowledge. What you sometimes have to know about a certain pressing to really get the original and to really identify it, and then to find a really, really great copy of it. That is, in many cases, way more difficult than expected, especially when you are not, when you go to a record store without a list of 3 titles, you just go in the record store, oh, let's see what he has. You will find something beautiful. You will. But go to a record store and said, I want the original in near mint condition of Kraftwerk Man Machine. And they said, no, sorry, not today. Maybe in 6 months, maybe next week. I don't know. Okay, if you don't have this, I take Can, Tago Mago, but please in near mint. Guess what the answer will be? No, sorry. Here's my rarity bin, go through it. And so, and then I said, okay, so this private dealer idea is not that bad. It's more expensive, but if I put my wrong copies and add them to the right copies, I paid a fortune for every copy. So this might be even the cheaper way. And then that worked out really, really, really good. Really good. And then said, okay, let's try and find people who also want to collect this way. And then I had the idea of the original Buyers Club, made the video, and bam. It's okay, I have to immediately close it. Stop, close it. Oh my God. Because, you know, try to find 25 light-proof triangle Pink Floyd.
Well, good luck.
You won't.
No.
So, and that's why we had to close
I remember when you first announced it, I'm like, what is this original Buyers Club? I was like, because you sort of teased it before you sort of did your video, I believe. So I was like, what's he up to now? So, I mean, that's interesting though, too, that you sort of had this idea during that whole Eye in the Sky. That was just that was just pre DSD Gate, by the way. That was just before DSD Gate, probably a week or two before. No, but just the Eye in the Sky was released. We didn't.
Yeah, exactly. When I did the cover video,
the cover, I did one too, I mean, so that was right around that time.
So, and then this idea was born, but I said, you have to, and that's why I took this €5, which of course was an outrage. How can you dare?
Stop right there. So tell everyone what that means. So €5 meaning you're doing a monthly fee?
A monthly fee of €5. Yeah, because you can't do that. Okay, who wants this record? Write me an email. No, that doesn't work. So, and what came to be out of this was or is an amazingly close and great group of record lovers, collectors. We now have our Discord. We have met some of us has met over in Den Bosch. It's an amazing group with a lot of spirit and love and sharing. You know, I was
gonna say that too. It's the collaboration, and then for you started this. You're still we're all like we do these videos, but we're all just learning each and every day. So I mean, that's all it is. We're learning.
Exactly. When I started my video, when I started my channel, 80% of the people out there know more about vinyl than me. My idea of my channel always was, hey, I'm on a journey. Come with me. Come with me. It's a journey. Let's see what happens. And some cool stuff has happened. It was quite a journey. When I look back, it's 3 years now. That was quite a funny journey. But, you know, sometimes this authority figure, I'm not a big fan of this. There are people who knows a lot. And usually they don't do VC videos or no, they don't, but they know quite something.
Well, that's why I like to have guests on with knowledge, because I mean, every time I have someone on, I like learning. I mean, that's what I like to do. I like to learn. I'm a big fan of Google and learning and researching and learning more.
Yeah, that's the way I understand your channel too. It's listening to the experts and learning from them. Sometimes probably asking them, are you sure that's true? Yeah, but otherwise learning from them, because
that's the big thing. When I had Kevin Gray on about learning, you know, telling me about the whole filtering the bottom end, now that's not used any longer. I mean, how would I know that? I'm not a master engineer. I'm not going to sit here and mean that and you'll have a listen to your car's Rhino when you get it, hopefully soon. And you know, tell me what you think, because I have an original. The original, of course, sounds amazing, and this one sounds just that much better.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm not saying that because I'm friends with Kevin Gray. I mean, I'm saying that because it actually does. And I would tell Kevin that too.
Kevin will survive if you would say otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just like I really enjoyed his Kirsten Edkins album. I thought that was a fantastically recorded album. I have nothing but praise. I made the mistake on my channel, or not a mistake, because I really enjoyed Kirsten's music. I was like, it's the next kind of blue. I got a lot of backlash from that one. But I mean,
big word. But
it's a big word. I was excited.
Yeah, exactly. Excitement. See, that's the
you talked about. You talked about enthusiasm. I was excited. Yes. So it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah. And I like Kirsten. I became friends with Kirsten and her husband.
And we are not professionals. We are not news speakers, you know. We have the liberty to do mistakes. I will do mistakes. I will sometimes use wrong words. So what? Live with it. Sorry.
I thought I had an original John Coltrane Giant Steps. I was showing that last week, and I was you know, definitely shot down there when I was told it was a 1970s reissue. I got a lot of comments. So I'm like, oh damn, oh well. But I actually listened to it a few days ago, and it's fantastic. Just saying, it was some of these records people never listen to them. So it was like I was shiny vinyl, everything. It was a 1970s reissue, but I'm really happy with it.
So you made a mistake. Now what?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I love, the fact that you say this is a journey. I mean, you and I. Getting together, that's a journey. I never would have thought when I started this. I mean, I used to watch your stuff all the time, even prior to me doing this channel. Now I'm here with you. It's crazy to me.
Is it?
Okay. It is.
You did quite well. You made a great channel. Come on. Very good.
Yeah, I know, but I had to get inspiration from somewhere. So yourself, Michael Fremer was another inspiration of mine. Of course, Mazzy was another inspiration of mine. All these live streams over time, really, it got me. I think watching all of you guys gave me the confidence, and I had some ideas of what I wanted to do. And that's how this all started. And it's funny, you know, you look back at some of your stuff from years ago and some of my stuff from years ago, it's freaking brutal, man. That's embarrassing. I'm not going to take it down, but it's pretty bad.
I very rarely watch my videos. I do them, upload them, and then that's it. I very rarely watch them.
Well, I do, because sometimes I do some edits and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
I'll throw some pictures and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I do, but yeah. I sometimes go back. Some of the roundtables that I do, I want to listen to, because maybe I've missed some stuff. Because especially when you're hosting and you're trying to get everyone involved, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I missed that, and I'll watch it once or twice. You don't cut
them, right? Or do you cut them?
I won't cut those ones. Those are completely just, you know, I don't like cutting that stuff unless there's like a dog barking or one of the guys had to run out to go to the bathroom or something. I might cut that. What's
wrong with the dog barking?
Oh, you think it should be authentic? It's just this authentic originality. Yeah, true. No, so I mean, that's what I did. I mean, I was just like, okay, reading the Steve Hoffman forums and, you know, all this stuff. I'm like, I'm interested in just putting out my own stuff and see where it goes. And I started, what I did during COVID is I started the Mobile Fidelity Audiophile Vinyl Buy and Sell Club on Facebook. That's what
Right.
That was me. I did that. I was like, I was talking to my wife one day and going, okay, this whole audiophile thing's really taken off here, and there's really nothing on Facebook for it. I'm going to start this group. And then I started this group with 2 members, my wife and myself included, and now it's almost at 10,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite something, right?
And then met a wonderful, wonderful group of people from that group as well. And then we decided to start the Analogue Productions fan club on Facebook as well. And that has, I'd have to look, but I want to say, I'm guessing probably upwards of 7,000, 7,500 members there. So it's wonderful to meet all these people, and I get a lot of wonderful messages.
You can't combine it because there would be a war or something like that?
Well, no, it's completely, I got the buy and sell, and I got an Analogue Productions page. So no, we don't combine the two. And I mean, it's lovely. And even Chad has actually jumped in on the Analogue Production page a few times and commented on someone else's comments. So I thought that was kind of cool. And when I had Chad on, he was really excited that we had started that page. So yeah, it's been nice. I think it has even more members in his own Facebook page as well that he has.
Yeah, you know, for us it's okay, but that I can tell you, for a company it's always way more difficult to have these kind of social media activities as for a private person. Sounds strange, but it is. For a company, if you do it generic, it's more difficult.
So you're in the marketing business, and I mean, I've done sales and marketing my entire career now. I will tell you, I mean, going forward, a lot of these record companies, I mean, using people like ourselves that have the wide viewership and knowledge, I would say extreme knowledge, but knowledge to basically get the product out there. I think that's where this is shifting to in terms of where they're going to market towards. Some of these YouTube channels, and start, you know, doing some more announcement through us. Which you've done with Chad in the past, and I can see that happen because more people are going to jump on to these type of streams and announcements than just go into someone's website.
Exactly.
It's more authentic, maybe. Is that
it's more authentic? And if you do it as a live stream, what I so love about the live stream, that whenever possible, sometimes there are live streams where it is not so possible, but usually you're into direct contact with the viewers, and they have sometimes so cool questions I didn't think of, you know, and they can put it up. Great questions. They can create the contact. For example, but you don't do that right now, right?
I have a couple of times with Kirsten Edkins when she released her album. I did that was my very first live stream I ever did. I was completely freaking out, of course. So yeah, no, actually, that's not true. I don't think I did a live stream for her. I'd done one live stream. I think it was with Kevin Gray. That was it. The only time.
Well, I want to do. Like this?
I really enjoyed it. You got a good hang of it now, so I'm fine. But it's funny, you get a little distracted, right? Because you get all these questions coming down, and
that's the problem.
Even Kevin told me afterwards, "You're a little bit distracted." I said, "I got all these questions. I'm trying to like weed through them all and find ones that are going to work."
And imagine me when I have to translate them in my head. Listen to Bernie Grundman Ryan K. Smith and Chet Kasem.
Yeah, I saw that one.
2 hours 52 minutes.
I think you probably went and had a nice big glass of wine or bottle of wine after that live stream. I would have for sure, man.
That was really, I was exhausted after it. Really exhausted.
Yeah, that would have been a big one.
I think we had 1,600 views simultaneously in the gallery, and
which is very, very big. If anyone's wanting to understand about live stream, that's a very large viewership live. Yeah, that's huge. So I think that's what we're going to see from a marketing standpoint. I would love to see some of these record companies start doing their big announcements on channels like ours.
They will.
Why not?
Of course.
It's credibility. It's like, okay, it's like we're the market. We're basically the target market or the demographic for these companies, the people that are watching us right now. So it's like, okay, these guys are coming on, to talk to us. I think it's really cool what is being built here in, I guess in the vinyl community and the audiophile industry as well. I think as we move forward, I think it's going to even get stronger, and our viewers have a say, right? Because they're the consumers that are just paying $125 for this. So, and it's nice too. Like, I mean, getting back to it, when I had the Rhino fellow on, Patrick Milligan, I'm not sure if you caught that interview with Patrick. Mm-hmm. He's a Rhino A&R guy. So there's a lot of controversy or a lot of issues with the Rhino packaging, a lot of dings and stuff like that. So there's a lot of comments, and so Rhino reads all these comments, right? It's not they actually see them because it's out in the public. So it's not just like, oh, I go to their Rhino website and talk to some bot and say, hey, my corner got dinged. This is out there in the public now. So as a company, I think it's really good because it gives them an idea of what their customers are asking, and then from there they can fix it. And so I know that they're fixing that problem based on what Patrick told me, because I actually texted him and said, hey, this is what's been happening. I get a lot of viewers reach out to me directly as well. I didn't want to go public with it and say, hey, I like the record, but I got dings. I mean, for what I'm paying, it should be packaged better, which is fair. I get it. I mean, you look
as I know by now, when something is terrible, when you have a record shop, is when a package got damaged. And I really feel sorry for Rhino when they had serious problems with that, because this is so much work to fixing this.
Exactly. But it's basic packaging though too. Remember how Mofi had the issue with the seam splits for a while? I'm not sure if they still do, but I mean, they had the seam split issue as well.
Well, I've heard they do. At least here, when you get a package from them here in Germany, okay, it's on its longer travel. But yeah, as long as they ship those records inside the sleeves, you have a problem.
You do have a problem, yeah. So Rhino hopefully going to fix that. And I mean, there's a lot of rumors going. There's a lot of rumors going around. I mean, they're making another announcement of their next release, I think in the next month and a half.
I thought they said it's AC/DC. Am I wrong?
No, there's rumors that I'll tell you. There's rumors.
Okay, it's a rumor. Okay,
it's a rumor that's AC/DC.
Okay. Okay.
Right. And I had mentioned on my stream with Patrick that I think Black Sabbath, and I know you did a video on Black Sabbath, it's one of my favorite bands as well. I really think they should do a complete Kevin Gray Rhino Black Sabbath remastered, starting with the Black Sabbath self-titled all the way through. That would be insane.
That would be quite something.
Where are the tapes?
And then 5,000 copies. That will be.
Think about that. Think about that, Michael. That's at $39.95 US. So you're getting an audiophile Black Sabbath original self-titled. And I have the original.
And why can they do it? Why can they do it?
Well, they have the rights to the music, right? Because they have the whole catalog.
No licensing.
No licensing. So they just do it. And I even asked him this. I said, so okay. I mean, Black Sabbath. He liked that idea. I also asked about Led Zeppelin. So what's happening with Led Zeppelin? I mean, they haven't, talked about it with Jimmy Page, but I mean, maybe one day we get a Led Zeppelin audiophile Rhino repress as well at $39.95 each. Can you imagine?
I say to you, it's a waste. It's a waste because I want it in a beautiful, thick, beautiful stout jacket.
Okay, but this is the Rhino stuff is nice. You'll like the jackets on this one. You'll like the presentation.
You promise me?
Well, I mean, everyone has their opinion. I like it's a nice thick stock. It's not flimsy.
Okay. It's not like, is it like the, that was my impression, maybe I'm wrong. Is it like the Blue Note Classic series?
I would say yes. You didn't like those?
No.
Yeah.
You know, have you heard of the tone ports?
Well, of course.
See, that's I like. Those I like.
Well, you'll be the judge. I'm sure you'll do a video on the packaging. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
But I totally also, of course, get it. Then you have to pay more, but damn, they don't have the licensing fees.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be AC/DC. That would be pretty cool, but I don't think it's going to be that. I mean, I don't know about the whole, and they even asked me, said, you know, the jazz titles. I mean, maybe we're just sort of, you know, we've gotten a lot of jazz titles from the different companies. Maybe they might change that on the fly eventually. Maybe it won't be one rock, one jazz. Maybe it will be based on customer demand. I think
they have at least 10 titles now ready in the drawer, and
well, I'm sure Kevin's cut them all already, right? So I mean, obviously, so they're just ready to go. Probably here's the lacquer. They were probably at, what are they at, Optimal? Probably getting pressed as we speak. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
If not, I would be surprised.
Question for you too. What do you think of Optimal's pressing plan? I've heard a lot of I guess a lot of mixed reviews with Optimal and GZ and all those companies. Like, who do you like? I mean, in terms of a pressing plan, there's RTI, there's GC, we've got Chad's company, obviously, we've got Optimal. I mean, I'm
always very calm and very optimistic when I know it's done by QRP.
Yeah,
I think they are incredibly reliable. That's beautiful. RTI, yeah, no, cool. Optimal has improved, I think, over the years, maybe really due to the classic series with Blue Note.
Yeah.
GZ I usually come in contact when I get my Vinyl Me Please records.
Right.
And I'm satisfied with them. I can't say something bad about GZ the last.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that say bad things about GC. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, a lot. But is it maybe 1 or 2 years back? Because what I've gotten from them, good, nice, beautiful, no problems.
And Optimal was the one. Optimal pressed the Beatles mono box years back, obviously, and no longer. Yeah. And then Beatles are now, or I guess Abbey Road or Universal are now using GZ for all their pressing.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, I think, you know, the next big Beatles announcement, other than their new reimagined AI song, will be the 6 catalog, the 6 albums from Please Please Me all the way down to, I think it's Help. Again, this is off the top of my head. That's my guess. You know, they do these box.
Not year by year.
No, I think you just blast it all out now. You know, get it while it's hot. Why not?
But it's hot, you know, when you know, our view numbers on the videos are always a good meter, and how popular is a title.
So true.
Come on, those Beatles videos.
I don't know. I think it would be big news, though. I mean, they do it like, you know, two tranches.
But what I want to say is, I think if they do it year by year,
yeah,
they even get more out of it on the long run. And I don't think that they are in a hurry.
Maybe.
I don't think so. But maybe something new around the Beatles mono box. Maybe something like that.
Well, but
on the other hand, after the Revolver with a nice mono cut. What do you think?
Maybe they do every Beatles remix or reimagine has the mono cut in it, just so they basically start doing what they did with Revolver. I was trying to find out how many box sets of the mono box in 2014 were actually pressed. Do you even have a number? Do you have an idea of what it was for the Beatles? I have no idea either. I've asked around a lot of my sources, and no one has a clue at all what it will be or what it was. Sorry, I'd be curious to know what it actually was.
You have sources?
A few. You know, my mom, my dad. You know,
I don't have sources. I want my sources too. When we turn off the video, please give me a heads up on how to get sources.
Well, I've tried to have this conversation with Michael Fremer about sources, so he's always been asking me as well. So yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to know what the mono box, how many were pressed, because I know you've mentioned before on your channel that there's maybe you'd like to see the mono box again. That would be kind of cool. I mean, because what are they going for? That's like How much are they US right now? They're a lot.
1600,
Sure.
1700, right?
That's a mortgage payment for a lot of people. That's a lot of money.
You get a lot of Beatles originals for that.
I like the blue box, the Parlophone blue box by the Beatles.
Never listened to them.
Yeah, it's 1985. I think it was cut in 85. It's lovely.
Okay. Is it mono or stereo or
I'm
both?
talking the stereo blue box 1985 Parlophone. Definitely check it out and listen to it. A lot of, better records, I mean, by Tom Port. A lot of, I noticed, I bought a couple off him years ago, but a lot of his Beatles stuff is like the mid 80s Parlophone labels that he sells. Just a really good cut. I mean, I don't know if what they used for tapes back then, or just the way it was cut, it just sounds really pure. And I know a few people in industry that know a lot about the Beatles. That's one of their favorite box sets, as well as that mid 80s blue box.
So you're into hot stampers now?
I'm into what? Hot stampers? No, I've never been into hot stampers at all.
Because you mentioned
I've tried it all out. I mean, I've had Tom Port on. I mean, but no, I'm not into hot stampers. I can't afford $800 records. That's not for me.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a hot stamper until today, but there are great sounding records and
we talked about that. I mean, I think if you're getting a fresh, you get an original fresh, fresh lacquer, fresh from the original tape, that's going to sound better than something that's been cut 5 years later, using the same tape, possibly. I mean, so there's, I understand the whole hot stamper thing. I understand it.
I have a copy, let's say 50 years old. One is storaged very, very well, and one next to the radiator. Guess which one is sounding better.
Exactly. Well, it goes back to my whole example of my Joe Cocker. I mean, I have the original one, and it sounded so terrible. It must have been from the very end of the worst part of the metal they could use, because it sounded awful. Like I want to use it as a frisbee with my kid and my dog. I think I'm going to do that this weekend. Well, we're going to leave it at that. I said we'd do about an hour, and it's time for bed now for you, Michael. It's getting late.
10 o'clock, 10 p.m.
Oh my gosh, what time's your bedtime? 10:30. Got to get to bed.
Usually I'm into bed right now, read a little bit, because I stand up very early. I stand up between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning. And
there you go. Well, thank you for this. This has been, I think, really a lot of fun. We'll do some more in the future, and I look forward to hearing what you thought about the cars.
Yeah. I will do that. I will do that now. And we'll see. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have been excited.
Enthusiasm. That was the name of the game here. All right, Michael, get to bed. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you very much.